We stand at the cusp of a profound economic transformation, one that could fundamentally alter the financial trajectory of an entire nation. The news reverberating through global markets today centers on a momentous decision from the International Monetary Fund, an organization whose mandates shape the financial health of economies across the world. The IMF has officially given its endorsement to Iraq's newly proposed framework for the dinar's exchange rate. This is far more than a technical detail for those tracking global currency movements. It represents a major historical development, potentially signifying the dawn of a more stable and credible economic era for Iraq. This single vote of confidence from a powerful multilateral institution injects a new level of assurance into the country's financial future, suggesting that the long and arduous process of economic reform is now yielding significant, internationally recognized results. For too long, the narrative of Iraq's economy has been dominated by a cycle of immense and persistent challenges. Years of political instability, compounded by the dramatic devaluation of its national currency, the dinar, have led to severe economic distress. Millions of ordinary Iraqis have struggled under the weight of declining purchasing power, making the basic act of sustaining a livelihood increasingly difficult. The IMF's stamp of approval, however, shifts this narrative dramatically. It signals Iraq's serious commitment to global financial standards, bolstering its position on the world stage with a renewed sense of stability and credibility. This move is a crucial step in the country's efforts to move past its troubled economic history and engage with the international community from a position of strength and transparency. To appreciate the gravity of this decision, one must look at the rigorous process that preceded it. The recent IMF meeting was a high-stakes affair, bringing together representatives from the 190 member nations, each reviewing Iraq's proposal with careful scrutiny. The Iraqi finance minister, along with a team of economic experts, presented an exhaustive report detailing the nation's progress in key financial areas. This documentation included compelling evidence of currency stabilization efforts, verifiable growth in foreign exchange reserves, and concrete actions taken to combat inflationary pressures that had eroded domestic financial health. The report also highlighted systematic steps to strengthen and modernize the country's beleaguered banking sector, all aiming to align with global regulatory benchmarks. The board members of the IMF undertook a meticulous analysis of these submissions. Their assessment was not merely a rubber stamping process. It involved a deep dive into the nation's financial data, weighing every potential risk against the palpable opportunities for sustainable growth. By ultimately approving Iraq's exchange rate framework, the IMF is formally acknowledging the tangible progress Iraq has made in constructing a more robust and predictable financial system. This official recognition is an invaluable asset, as it broadcasts a powerful signal of international confidence, which is a prerequisite for unlocking substantial new avenues of foreign investment and expanding international trade partnerships. Furthermore, it ensures Iraq would have access to critical emergency funding should unexpected economic headwinds arise in the future. For the people of Iraq, the implications of this decision resonate far beyond abstract financial terminology. It represents a tangible element of hope, a foundation upon which the long-term work of economic recovery can finally be built. The dinar for decades has been synonymous with vulnerability, its credibility consistently undermined by a turbulent history that included political upheavals, poor economic governance, and the devastating conflicts following the 2003 invasion. This instability drove a dramatic devaluation of the currency, which in turn severely restricted Iraq's capacity to participate in global trade on favorable terms. The heaviest burden of this currency weakness was shouldered by everyday citizens who saw their purchasing power dwindle year after year. The IMF's approval acts as a pivotal turning point, indicating unequivocally that the country's fundamental economic direction is sound and corrective. Global banks, which previously may have exercised extreme caution or outright reluctance, are now expected to be far more willing to facilitate and process transactions involving the Iraqi dinar. This shift in sentiment opens up crucial new avenues for Iraqi businesses and citizens to seamlessly engage with the intricate machinery of the global financial system. The resulting increase in transaction efficiency and confidence is anticipated to reduce operational costs for companies, foster a greater sense of economic certainty, and make Iraq a significantly more appealing destination for international corporations searching for stable, emerging market opportunities. The path from a protracted economic crisis to a state of sustained recovery is inherently complex and demands persistent effort. However, this monumental decision from the IMF stands as a major, verifiable milestone along that difficult journey. It begs the question: what specific, transformative actions did Iraq undertake to secure such a crucial institutional endorsement? The answer lies in the comprehensive implementation of major economic reforms that the country has pursued diligently over the last 5 years. These reforms focused heavily on the financial sector, enacting stricter banking laws to enhance transparency, accountability, and fortify anti-money laundering mechanisms, thereby bringing the nation's system closer to stringent international standards. A significant element of this reform wave involved the central bank, which proactively introduced far more rigorous controls over its currency auction processes. This strategic intervention was designed to effectively mitigate and reduce the historical patterns of corruption and mismanagement that had long plagued the exchange system. Simultaneously, the Iraqi government recognized the imperative need to transition away from an overwhelming dependence on oil revenues. Through the establishment of modernized tax collection systems, non-oil revenue streams saw an impressive increase, growing by approximately 40%. Concurrently, major investments in new technology and critical national infrastructure were executed to fully modernize the entire financial apparatus, making it both more efficient in its operations and more fundamentally reliable for all participants. These cumulative, multifaceted efforts collectively culminated in the IMF's approval, demonstrating that Iraq was not merely issuing vague promises, but was actively delivering tangible, measurable outcomes that cemented stability and laid a solid foundation for long-term, sustainable economic expansion. In terms of tangible effects, what does this IMF endorsement mean for the daily lives of the average Iraqi citizen? Firstly, it is an official international validation of the nation's intense and focused efforts to achieve currency stabilization. This confirmation significantly eases the entry of Iraqi banks into the international financial marketplace, which in turn unlocks broader avenues for foreign direct investment and expanded international trade. Businesses that previously encountered substantial obstacles when trying to transact with global partners can now operate with significantly greater confidence, a development that is expected to reduce their operating costs and consequently improve profit margins. For individual citizens, this could translate into a more stable price environment for essential imported goods, better access to loan facilities, and a general improvement in the quality and accessibility of financial services. Families who routinely send or receive money internationally may also benefit from both reduced transaction fees and faster processing times. While the IMF approval is certainly not a magical, instantaneous cure for all existing economic ailments, it powerfully sets the stage for a period of gradual, yet profound, improvements that will materially and positively impact the lives of people across the country. The approved framework introduces a sophisticated exchange rate system known as a managed float for the Iraqi dinar. In simple economic terms, this mechanism allows the currency's value to adjust and fluctuate in response to market forces, but crucially, only within predetermined and controlled boundaries. This structure grants the central bank the authority to intervene in the currency markets whenever necessary, specifically to prevent episodes of extreme volatility or unpredictable shocks. The system is intentionally designed to strike a judicious balance between allowing for essential market-driven adjustments and maintaining the critical need for economic stability, thus protecting the broader economy from sudden and destabilizing movements. The framework also incorporates a mechanism for periodic, specifically quarterly, reviews to ensure that Iraq remains in continuous compliance with the demanding standards set by the IMF. By consistently maintaining sufficient levels of foreign reserves, faithfully implementing the agreed-upon banking reforms, and steadfastly continuing to enforce vigorous anti-corruption measures, Iraq is positioned to secure ongoing and vital support from the IMF and the international financial community. This innovative system provides the essential combination of economic flexibility and necessary oversight, a dual requirement that is absolutely crucial for an economy that is steadily emerging from several decades of entrenched instability and conflict. It reassures potential international investors of a commitment to financial discipline, while simultaneously holding the government accountable for the overall financial health and governance of the nation. This institutionalized structure is a cornerstone of the new confidence being placed in Iraq's economic future. Despite this overwhelmingly positive development, it is essential to acknowledge and address the concerns raised by various economic critics. A principal worry remains Iraq's significant, though diminishing, reliance on volatile global oil prices, which have a direct and powerful impact on government revenue streams. While this is a fundamentally valid concern, Iraq has proactively taken definitive steps towards meaningful economic diversification, pouring investment into previously overlooked sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and technology. These sectors are demonstrating increasing promise and are expected to gradually, over time, reduce the nation's dependence on the oil market's fluctuations. Furthermore, security challenges in certain regions continue to pose real, though localized risks. However, the sheer fact of the IMF's approval suggests that the overall national stability has been judged to be sufficiently improved. International financial institutions do not make such major decisions without exhaustive due diligence, conducting comprehensive assessments of both political and economic risks before granting their imprimatur. This decision implies that Iraq has demonstrated an impressive level of progress and resilience, enough to decisively earn the IMF's significant confidence. To truly grasp the impact, consider the human element behind this momentous financial reform. Take, for example, Ahmed, a determined small business owner in Baghdad whose primary business involves importing specialized electronics from East Asia. Before this pivotal IMF approval, Ahmed frequently struggled to find local banks willing or able to efficiently process his necessary international payments. This resulted in costly delays, complex bureaucratic hurdles, and significantly higher operating expenses. With the approved framework now in place, banks are expected to handle such transactions with far greater speed and reliability, allowing Ahmed to streamline his operations, save money, and finally scale his business effectively. Similarly, students like Sarah, who are pursuing education abroad and rely on transfers from family back home, may experience the benefits of faster and cheaper remittance services. These seemingly minor changes create powerful ripple effects across the entire economy, enhancing access to vital resources, stimulating broader trade activity, and providing crucial new opportunities for ordinary citizens to become active and successful participants in a growing and increasingly stable market. This is the ultimate, tangible benefit of major financial reform. Beyond the immediate impact on businesses and citizens, the IMF's decision carries far-reaching, broader implications for the overall Iraqi economy. By lending global legitimacy to Iraq's financial system, the country instantly becomes a more compelling and attractive destination for foreign direct investment. Global corporations seeking to expand their footprint in the dynamic Middle East region now have significantly greater confidence in Iraq's economic stability and regulatory environment. This renewed faith can directly translate into the creation of countless new jobs, the initiation of major infrastructure projects, and the proliferation of new, dynamic business opportunities across various sectors. Over time, this sustained influx of capital and activity has the potential to dramatically accelerate economic growth, significantly improve living standards for all citizens, and meaningfully reduce national poverty levels. While this entire process of transformation is a multi-year endeavor, every single stride towards stability is critical, and the IMF approval provides the specific, high-level credibility Iraq desperately needs to capture meaningful global attention and attract substantive, long-term investment. Another vital consideration is the ripple effect on regional stability. A firmly economically stable Iraq inherently contributes to the overall security and prosperity of the wider Middle East. When citizens are presented with genuine economic opportunities, they are naturally less susceptible to the appeals of extremist groups or engagement in illicit activities. This positive shift has the potential to encourage neighboring countries to consider and pursue similar ambitious financial reforms, thereby fostering greater regional economic cooperation, interdependence, and expanded trade. With its newfound and improved financial credibility, Iraq is now better positioned to take on a significantly larger and more influential role in regional supply chains, effectively integrating its economy more deeply with surrounding markets. For international investors, this development creates additional, attractive opportunities to capitalize on a more interconnected, predictable, and resilient Middle Eastern market. Economic progress in Iraq transcends mere statistics. It is a powerful catalyst for creating safer, more prosperous, and highly integrated communities across the entire region. For the international investment community, the IMF approval acts as a powerful signal of significantly reduced risk when engaging with Iraq's financial markets. While certain challenges undeniably persist, such as lingering political uncertainty and regional geopolitical tensions, the new improved framework provides a transparent and robust mechanism for both stability and projected growth. Iraq's enormous natural resource base, extending far beyond its oil reserves to include various minerals, a rapidly developing agricultural sector, and its profoundly strategic geographic location for international trade, positions it as a market of extraordinary promise for global capital. By committing to and rigorously implementing its reforms and adhering to the non-negotiable standards set by the IMF, Iraq can steadily and surely rebuild investor confidence, attract essential capital flows, and stimulate vigorous economic development in critical sectors that have been neglected and underfunded for decades. This shift represents a genuine and rare opportunity for investors looking at long-term, high-potential growth markets. It is absolutely paramount to maintain a clear-eyed perspective. True economic transformation is a measured, gradual, and cumulative process. The formal IMF approval does not instantaneously resolve Iraq's deeply entrenched, complex economic issues. Significant challenges remain, including high unemployment rates, substantial deficits in national infrastructure, and the continuous need to combat systemic corruption. These issues demand sustained attention, significant capital investment, and unyielding political will. Nevertheless, the approval provides a crucial, internationally recognized platform for progressive action. It empowers the Iraqi government to access world-class international expertise, secure essential financing, and garner robust support for its ambitious, planned economic development projects. Over a period of time, this institutional support is expected to result in significantly stronger public services, modernized national infrastructure, and fundamentally better economic opportunities for every Iraqi citizen. This is not a quick, fix measure, but rather a carefully architected, long-term national strategy designed to guarantee sustainable economic growth and lasting stability for the entire nation. Carefully monitoring the forthcoming steps will be essential for fully understanding and gauging the true pace and extent of Iraq's economic advancement. The IMF has formally instituted a schedule of quarterly reviews designed to rigorously evaluate the country's continuous adherence to the recently approved framework's benchmarks. These regular assessments will meticulously scrutinize the levels of foreign exchange reserves, the operational performance and stability of the national banking sector, and the government's commitment to strict fiscal discipline. Any deviation or failure to maintain these demanding standards could potentially jeopardize the continuation of this critical IMF support. Likewise, the evolution of regional political landscapes and the fluctuating security situation will continue to exert a substantial influence on overall investor confidence. Keeping a continuous, vigilant eye on these interconnected factors will be key to determining how quickly and effectively Iraq can leverage this historic approval into palpable, real-world economic expansion and prosperity. For the average Iraqi citizen, the full, positive effects of the IMF approval may not manifest immediately. They are, however, very real and carry immense long-term significance. More efficient and reliable banking services will reduce transaction costs, and a steady increase in foreign investment will gradually, but surely, elevate the national quality of life. Businesses will have the confidence and capital to expand their operations, new job opportunities are projected to grow across sectors, and families will begin to see concrete improvements in their overall economic stability. The pervasive and positive ripple effect of this international recognition has the potential to reach countless households across the entire country, igniting a powerful sense of optimism and hope that Iraq is finally decisively turning a corner toward a brighter future. For individuals who hold the Iraqi Dinar, this news provides a basis for cautious optimism, as the currency is now bolstered by stronger institutional backing and a new level of international recognition. It is also vital to reiterate that while the IMF's endorsement is a profoundly significant moment, it is merely one, albeit major, stage in a much larger and more complex national journey. Iraq must maintain the momentum of its economic reform agenda, continuing its efforts to aggressively diversify the economy, make strategic investments in advanced education and technology sectors, and persistently address the root causes of corruption. These ongoing measures are essential to ensuring that the nascent economic growth is both fundamentally sustainable and fully inclusive of all segments of society. By building a truly resilient and diversified economy, Iraq can substantially reduce its inherent vulnerability to unpredictable global oil price shocks, external economic downturns, and domestic political instability. The backing provided by the IMF furnishes the essential credibility and international support necessary to pursue these crucial, long-term initiatives with maximum effectiveness. This is a moment of monumental opportunity, a generational chance to lay a robust, unshakable foundation for decades of future stability and sustained national prosperity. The approval also acts as a powerful accelerant for strengthening Iraq's vital international financial relationships. Banks located all over the world are now expected to be far more inclined to actively collaborate with Iraqi financial institutions, dramatically streamlining trade finance, facilitating investment capital, and significantly easing access to international commercial loans. This enhanced global connectivity will inevitably lead to an increase in both imports and exports, spurring broad business growth across the economy. Furthermore, it enables Iraq to tap into deep global financial markets for financing large-scale, essential infrastructure projects, as well as critical investments in healthcare and education systems. Over the medium to long term, these critical developments have the potential to substantially raise the overall standard of living for all citizens and dramatically improve the country's core economic resilience against external shocks. While the road ahead is still lined with challenges, this is a truly unprecedented window of opportunity for Iraq to comprehensively reshape its financial and economic landscape. A brief look at the historical context underscores the magnitude of this achievement. Iraq has endured multiple decades of profound economic uncertainty, from the debilitating sanctions of the 1990s to the devastating conflicts of the early 2000s, which subjected the Iraqi dinar to periods of extreme and debilitating volatility. These protracted events severely curtailed the country's ability to foster sustained growth, attract necessary foreign investment, and adequately provide for the well-being of its citizens. The recent IMF approval decisively marks a major turning point, a clear signal that Iraq has not only survived these decades of systemic crisis, but is now strategically positioned for a determined and successful recovery. By demonstrating a credible commitment to international standards and diligently implementing necessary, painful reforms, Iraq is stepping into an entirely new economic era where tangible stability and sustained growth are not distant hopes, but achievable, near-term realities. This is a moment that holds the potential to redefine the nation's economic trajectory for future generations. In summary, the decision by the IMF to approve Iraq's dinar exchange rate framework transcends a simple financial announcement. It constitutes a profound historic milestone with the potential to fundamentally shape the nation's future. From securing currency stabilization to actively attracting essential foreign investment and spurring widespread job creation, the potential positive impact is both vast and multifaceted. However, it remains absolutely critical to approach this significant news with a balanced perspective, blending palpable optimism with realistic caution. The process of economic recovery is inherently complex and long-term, requiring unflagging dedication to continuous reforms, maintaining domestic stability, and executing strategic long-range planning. For Iraqi citizens and the international investment community alike, This official approval represents a credible, foundational platform for future prosperity and a genuine opportunity to actively participate in the country's unfolding comeback story. We, at Dinar Shift, will continue to meticulously track and report on every development as this historic story progresses, focusing keenly on the key metrics that will define Iraq's journey toward lasting economic success.